Right, as you can see on the mill there, Barnstable Volkswagen have sent us a right old Triffid here. They rang up earlier, because bear in mind, you're going to be seeing this on the Friday, but this is actually Thursday now, and I'm off at midday because I've got to go and pick our suits up for the wedding. So they rang us up at about 9:30 saying, if we send an exhaust manifold over, could you please get it refaced by the end of the day? And I said, well, get it here fairly smartish. And when it's turned up, it's one of the all-in-one built-in turbo, the lot. So absolute nightmare. It's fairly bent. As you can see, the first thing I've had to do is take the actuator off, because the actuator sits underneath there, and there's no way I've been able to set it up. So it's one of those setups, guys, which is like I always like to say, it's a Heath Robinson setup. So all we're doing is that's sitting in the gully of the bed, and then you've got some adjustable sort of stays at either end, and I've just had to manipulate it so it was as level as I could get it. Really, it's fairly bent, as in bowed in the centre, so I've just levelled it up as best I can. As you can see, I've done a first cut along the back edge. Just going to do the front edge here and see how we get on, but hopefully, yeah, I can get this one done by 12 o'clock. But bit of a nightmare. Hate these manifolds, and they can be a right old Heath Robinson setup at the end of it, and it's always a little bit dubious of sort of standing near it, really, because as I say, we've only got one clamp. Yeah, bit of a nightmare. But how much is one of them new going to be with a built-in turbo? Guarantee it's nothing under £1,000. Right, guys, just a little rundown of what's going on in the workshop here quickly. So here we have an N47 BMW. Now this thing has done a timing chain. As you can see, John is stripping it, but he hasn't took the valves out yet. It looks to me like it needs, it could do with a couple of camshafts, because these are the ones with the pressed on lobes, which are rubbish. And once they've done a chain and had a clang up with the valves, we never take it for granted that these are all right. We just quote on replace it, or recommend replacing the camshafts. You can see here it's got at least one broken rocker, and the roller there has come adrift. So that there is the reason that even if it hasn't broke, if it's had a clang up, we always recommend that you replace all the rockers and the hydraulics, because you never know what condition they're in. We did have one once where they all looked absolutely perfect, so we put them all back in, and then about 10 miles down the road, one of the rollers here failed. Of course, we didn't advise to the customer, so it was sort of down to us, really, so we had to sort that out. But anyway, before John even takes the valves out, he's sent over a sort of a quote to the customer with prices on parts, and they are at the moment astronomical. I think we're up to about 1,800 quid in bits. We've rang the garage, they've gone and had a chat with their customer, or they're going to today, and just see what they want to do about it, because this is not going to be a cheap repair. Here we got the Cosworth. This is the one we need new guides. We've got brand new valves and that to go in it. I did order a set of circlips, and that was thanks very much to one of you subscribers there, which sent me an email saying go on the Graham Good website and they have got these, so thank you very much for that. As I say, we've got those, so Paul is in the process of doing this head today. He soda blasted it, but I'll leave him to explain what's going on there.
Hi guys, thought I'd do a quick little segment on my job today. Currently waiting for the Lotus twin cam oil pickup pipe, so that's on hold for a minute. So my next job is a Ford Cosworth head, so I'll show you what I'm doing for that. So I cleaned and soda blasted the heads. The first job on this is to get the valve guides in. Obviously they're brand new, got new inlet and exhaust, new little circlips in the end as well. They were not the easiest thing to source. Got new exhaust valves to go in and inlet valves to go in as well. So I think what I'll do first is knock the guides in, and then we'll have to ream the guides because I put one in already, and obviously it gets to a certain point to stop, so I'll need a bit of reaming to get in there, which is quite normal, especially with new valves and new guides. And I think we will recut the valve seats because they won't seal, and you could spend like 20 minutes trying to lap these and they won't lap, so it will need cutting and then we can lap them in. Right, so knocking the valve guides in, fairly simple job. First thing is to make sure you've got plenty of cushioning under the head. So plenty of pieces of cardboard and some cloth so you don't damage the head face. Simple enough, put the guide in. There we go. And then we use a little piece of metal like this to go round what sits on the guide there. But you want it to sit so it doesn't actually, when you're knocking the guide in with this special tool or big piece of metal, that doesn't damage the top of the guide or you mushroom the guide. So we'll get that in position and then we'll give him a whack.
Paul has got the rocker cover on. I did the vernier timing yesterday. Now these camshafts in this, I spoke to the guy that's dealing with this engine, not the owner, but although the owner has given him the spec. Now the camshafts, the exhaust one is pretty much sort of in between an L2 and an L1. The inlet is completely different. That's almost like a full race. It's about 11.3 lift on it, but I don't know what the duration is on that. We're ranging on the sort of setup on them between 102 and 106 degrees. So they hadn't got a clue what it was before. Whoever dynoed this about 8 years ago sort of set them up on the dyno, and no one really knows what they were. So obviously, because we've skimmed the block and skimmed the head and all the rest of it, I said to Scott, look, I'm just going to set these up in the middle, 104 degrees on both, and see what it's like. Then you've got sort of 2 degrees either way to play with, so at least we know we're in the safe zone on those. But as you can see, all we've got to do is get the sump on once this pickup has arrived, and that is pretty much there. And like I said, when we got the black sump on, with the green, the silver and the black, I think that looks really nice. If we had done this in the dark grey, the cylinder head, I think it'd have been a bit too much. But yeah, I don't know whether you agree, guys, but I think that looks absolutely lovely. So guys, first thing this morning, as I said a minute ago, still Thursday at the minute. First thing this morning, you can see the kit car is nowhere to be seen. So we have took that to Tom Upton. Tom Upton is the son of Kevin Upton, the Snap-on guy, good friend of ours, and he is going to repair the back end of that kit car. So I don't know whether you guys have seen the previous video on me sort of explaining what had happened, but we put the roll cage in, and since then, obviously we braced up the bits that were cracked before in the rear subframe, etc. But one of the bottom suspension arm mounts had come adrift, and looking at the, down the cross plane of it, the thickness of the material, the bracket that holds the arm was probably about no more than 2 mil thick. So Tom is going to do some drawings, he's going to get them laser cut, but he's going to make all new brackets and really strengthen that chassis up at the back there. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get any more issues with that, because obviously doing track days, it's all right. Well, it's not all right, but it's not so bad on a short circuit like the one we do down in Perranporth. But when we start doing some bigger circuits and you're going a bit faster, rather have that thing pretty safe, to be honest with you. So he's going to have that. While it's down there, we're going to go down and take the diff out of it. I'm going to strip the diff out and probably put a limited slip diff in it because it hasn't got one at the moment. And Paul seems to think that that will transform the car. So yeah, if any of you kit car guys out there want to put down in the comments what you recommend on diffs, please feel free to do so. As I say, it's a Granada diff at the moment in there, just an open diff. So any recommendations are welcome, guys.